You never build the church for Easter Sunday. Would you rather have a consistent flow of people in there that'll make you money, or would you just want to be maxed out at peak all the time?
The first option.
First option. Because if you're at peak, you're basically just keeping it going the whole time.
Right.
Like, you got too much going on. You're paying your people the same rate, whether they're running around trying to manage everything or not. You see some of these businesses that come out and they open 5, 6 locations at one time. Well, it's too big. How you manage all that, right? So sometimes you got to perfect the processes and the procedures that you got and what you already have, and then you can copy and paste and make some adjustments from there, right?
Right.
A $80,000 truck, 200 of them, they'd be sitting parked on that fence for 11 months out of the year, and you use them for 1 month out of the year. So basically what you're trying to do is be a waste of money. Taxes, insurance, maintenance. Hey everybody, Gerard.
Hey everybody,
what's
Sarah.
going on? Gerard and Sarah here. Just checking in again, and today we were just talking. So we're talking about some stuff. As you know, Sarah runs a couple drop-in daycares, and she opened one
in 2017,
right, and then we got the second one going in
2020,
right,
2020, 3 years later.
So 3 years later, right,
and then it's 2025. We're a couple years behind on that third one.
Yeah, we are. I mean, we're a couple years behind, but some things happened, right?
Yep.
Like we weren't allowed to go outside for a long time.
Yeah.
Right.
That's kind of a big deal.
That's a huge deal when you're trying to watch kids.
Yep.
Right. So when we were talking, so she's talking. Obviously, she's talking about maybe doing another one and getting that going. And really, we're just talking about how it's about scale, right? And how to put things together. And sometimes you can grow too fast. And you always hear the go big or go home stuff, which is true. But a lot of times people go out of business. A lot of times people don't work out. It doesn't work out what they're doing. Not because they don't have a good product. It's because they might have took on too much too soon.
Yes.
Right?
Definitely agree with that.
So, So what do you? So just kind of go back to what we were talking about when she got started. Is she's in a 1,500 square foot space.
Right, which we put a lot of thought into that, the 1,500 square foot space, how big we wanted it to be. I mean, you can get licensed for 100 kids, but do you really want to have the capacity to hold 100 kids in a building is the question. Yeah. So I think in a daycare setting, drop-in setting is a little bit different. Obviously, we don't want 100 kids in there at one time. So you're really trying to think realistically as far as how many children will be in here on average at once. So you were the one with the idea where we don't need it to be huge. Right.
Because like she said average, she said peak, right? So when you're running a warehouse or distribution center, you kind of look at peak to average ratio. So like, what is the building going to be like most of the time, right? And you want to kind of craft it around what it's going to be most of the time. You may need to flex up a little bit. You may need to flex down a little bit based on who's in there and who's not in there, but you don't want to basically build it for the max capacity at all times because you got to pay for that space.
Right. Even when there's not max capacity in there.
Exactly. So when she said 1,500 square feet in the building that we're in Mount Juliet, it's 4,500 square feet, the entire building. And at the time it was brand new space. And you were the first tenant in the building.
Yep. I got to pick the N unit. I was excited.
Pick the N unit. The reason why I picked the N unit for 2 reasons. One, it had windows. And there's something else that we found out that we didn't know. We actually got lucky.
Yeah.
You know that, right?
Yeah, we did.
Because why did we pick the? What is the?
It was
what
a
is the
huge
key?
shell. So with the drop-in in Tennessee, and probably with a regular daycare center as well, you need a firewall, right?
So the rule is, you can have you notice you need sprinklers. Well, actually, I'm not going to. We shouldn't even tell you all this stuff, right? Because we're not going to tell you all the secrets. But all I'm going to say is it's because that's part of the reason why we are. It's basically for compliance reasons. It's best to have an in unit if you're going to run a daycare like that, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to leave. We're going to leave it like that. So, but we had the option, and there was a moon in the middle, and we're like, hey, you want to grab this one too?
Yeah, we had the option to have both.
They'd have given us 3,000 square feet, which would have given us a capacity of what, like how many kids?
Let's see,
Double
72.
Let's just say double what we got,
Yeah.
right? So 72 children. And the landlord actually said, hey, man, are you sure you want to do that? And we're like, yeah, man, we did the math, business plan, all it sound great.
Yep.
And we thought about it, and we were like, you know what? We won't do that. We'll just take our space, and then we'll grow into it, right? And it takes me back to a couple stories, right? So we were building, I'm a warehouse guy, and that's what you do. It's peak to average ratio. It is always building, for what you usually do, and there's always a ramp up and a ramp down. So it takes me back to a story where a couple of stories. Well, one, I'm gonna talk about this. So working at UPS for years, you got a fleet of trucks, and you got to remember. So I'm at UPS. I'm probably 26 or 27 years old. Like, again, I told you before, I don't even know why they let people that young in charge. Like, we were in charge of a lot of stuff.
I just think it was different back in the day. I mean, I'm not saying anything about the younger generation now, but I just feel like it was a whole different breed.
No.
You don't think so?
I'm just telling you right now, they entrusted me, with a lot of responsibility, right? Responsible for a lot of stuff. And looking back, I'm like, man, there's no way I would trust this dude. Trust me with that stuff, right? But one example I'm gonna give you is, if you look at Christmas time, right? So you guys can relate to this. So when you look at Christmas time, you see a bunch of all these crazy trucks out there, like these rent trucks with these like, you know what I'm talking about? Like box trucks. You see these different delivery vehicles, and they have a placard on the side, and it has like a car number on it.
Okay.
And it says UPS or FedEx or wherever it is. Well, I used to be like, man, the Friday after Thanksgiving, it used to be a fun day at work for us. So the Wednesday before, actually, it was a really fun day at work when you worked in delivery, because all the supervisors would get in these vans with the managers, and we would drive to the rent-a-car place and pick up hundreds of those box trucks, and we would just go back and forth. So it was like we had a free day at work. We ain't got to do nothing. We were so responsible for what we were responsible for, but we got to like leave the building. We got to like go get these cars. And I'd be like, man, we got money. Why are we renting all these cars every year? Why don't we just buy the cars? And they're like, Gerard, if we bought an $80,000 truck, 200 of them, they'd be sitting parked on that fence for 11 months out of the year. And you use them for 1 month out of the year. So we were just trying to do was be a waste of money. You got to go taxes, insurance, maintenance. He said, Gerard, it's just cheaper. It's hard for us to deliver out of these trucks for 1 month, but it's better to deliver out of a truck out of 1 month opposed to keeping the truck on the books for 12 months. It made our job super difficult for a month. But it was like, we didn't want to build the fleet for 1 month, right? So I learned that 20 years ago, 22 years ago. And then another part is when we got into the warehousing. So like, I remember we used to build our warehouse for peak to average ratio, right? So we would look at the peak and we look at the average. And same thing. We were building these warehouses, trying to add all this stuff, and we're trying to add capacity. And I was like, well, man, this isn't big enough for our Christmas season. Like, this doesn't hold this doesn't hold enough. So with you, right, what is a good sweet spot for you is like 20 or something like that, right?
Yep.
And you don't want to be at your peak, because what
Right.
happens at peak? What is it like in there when it's max capacity? What is it like in there?
It's just chaos.
It's busy,
It's busy.
right?
Yeah, that's a nice word
So
for
the
it.
question I have for you is, would you rather have,
Or would you rather?
huh?
No, you know how the trend right now is would you rather?
Oh yeah. Would you rather?
Yeah.
We're gonna do that. We're gonna do
Okay,
this. All right.
sure.
So would you rather have a consistent flow of people in there that'll make you money, or would you just want to be maxed out at peak all the time?
The first option.
First option. Because if you're at peak, you're running on full. You're basically just keeping it going the whole time.
Right.
Like, you got too much going on.
Too much going on.
Right, and you're paying your people the same rate, whether they're running around trying to manage everything or not. So same thing happened was we're trying to build this warehouse, and I'm looking at, and then the consultants, right? We're trying to sell us on like the warehouse module we're trying to get. And of course they want us to get all the most expensive stuff. They want
Bells and whistles.
They're trying to sell us all the stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yo, man, yeah, we'll take all that. And my boss comes up to me and was like, hey man, what's your problem? He goes, what are you doing? I was like, man, I'm trying to, like, we're going to build this warehouse. He was like, but the average, for 10 months out of the year, here's your average. Why are you doing this? And he was like, Gerard, you never build the church for Easter Sunday. He said, you said, look, and you know what that means? That sounds crazy, right? Does that sound crazy?
I get it.
But you know what it is? I mean, you know what it is? On what day of the year is the church full?
Easter Sunday.
Everybody shows up on Easter Sunday. And guess what happens on Easter Sunday? They got these fold-out tables. They got these fold-out chairs. They got all this stuff, right? Because if they built the church for Easter Sunday, none of y'all go to church any other day of the year. Half of y'all. Some of y'all only go to church on Sunday. Easter Sunday, that's it. So he looked at me and was like, never build the church for Easter Sunday. And I've always remembered that because it is. And it is an analogy to say like, hey, everybody shows up on Easter Sunday. So they bring out fold-out chairs and tables. So same thing. In your daycare, whenever you're running at your average, you decide that when it gets busy, you bring in another person. You open up this room over here. You kind of, and you manage that for a while. You have to manage it. Then you go back to normal.
Exactly.
So same thing. We rented a bunch of trucks for a month, and then we go back to normal. But we don't carry that cost the entire time. Because if you had to heat and cool a church all year long, the collection plate would be this big because they'd have to keep more money in the church, right? So, you know, whatever it is, right? So then let's talk about this scaling in general, right? So it's easy. You see some of these businesses that come out and they open 5, 6 locations at one time. Well, it's too big. How you manage all that, right? So sometimes you got to perfect the processes and the procedures that you got and what you already have, and then you can copy and paste and make some adjustments from there, right?
Right. No, I agree with that. I mean, we wanted to definitely scale, and we still are scaling, but on a slower level, because we realized with the second building that there were things that we did not have in place that we needed to have in place before we could even move any further.
Yeah. So, and then things change, right? The laws change, the regulations change.
Regulations change every year. They review regulations that we're supposed to know as soon as it comes out.
So instead of going back so it's kind of good that you kind of opened the second one. And we even said yesterday, well, we don't know if that was the greatest idea at the time, but you know what? We're making it a great idea.
Yes. And yeah.
Right?
Right. And it's actually helped us to figure a lot of things out moving forward. So when we are able to scale, we know what to do.
Yeah. So, you know, so like I said, never overreach overextend your reach early on. You got to kind of perfect the things and never build a church for Easter Sunday.
Because you don't know what you don't know until you know it.
You don't know. And so you have this, we would have had this big old open, we would have had 2 space. We would be in serious trouble if we took in on 3,000 square feet at the time, doubling the capacity when you only reach capacity
a couple days a year.
And for how many hours a couple of days a year?
Just, not too many. Not the whole day.
Not even the whole day.
No, not the whole day.
So don't build a church for Easter Sunday. Don't do it. You got anything else you want to talk about?
No, that's it.
All right, cool. That's all we got today on that. Thank you very much. See you next. See you guys here.
Bye.